Top 5 jobs to get as a student or new arrival to the UK. Hi, my name is Emmanuel from Soft Landings UK, and I'm here today to share with you the top 5 jobs to get as a student or new arrival to the UK. Now, for many of us, when we've just come into the UK, job searching is a really difficult task. You spend a lot of time going left and right. The jobs we're going to share today are some of the easiest you can get into straight away to start earning money as soon as you land in the UK. The first job we're going to talk about today is security jobs. Now, security is such a huge sector in the UK. Security is required for all sort of events, bars, clubs, places where you go to drink, all that sort of things, watch TV. Stewarding as well covers like live events where there's shows at stadiums, that sort of thing. There's always a large number of security people directing people to and from the station doing stewarding work. So these are all covered under security. We've got site security. We've got concierge, which you would normally need a security certification to do. A concierge is someone who works in a sort of high-rise building or a large building, and they sit at reception and sort of take in parcels for visitors, make sure whoever is coming into the building is allowed to do so, sign them in. So that could be residential buildings, offices. We have construction security on building sites. We have CCTV, which is a whole sector on its own. So for a lot of these jobs, there's so much opportunity there. And we're just telling you this if you're just coming from Nigeria or any other countries for the first time. There are a few licenses and certifications you need to be able to work in the security sector. Now, the first one of those is the SIA license, SIA. And that enables you to work in the security industry. To achieve the SIA license, you would need to take a 1-week course, which comes with an exam at the end. And the courses are usually priced between £150 to about £200. So if you do definitely want to work in security, make sure you budget for this and to be able to pay for an SIA license near to wherever you are. Another important part of doing security is you will have to get your DBS checks. This is called Disclosure and Barring Service. It basically checks your records to see if you've got any criminal history and checks against your name. Now, if you've just come into the country, the likelihood of you having any sort of history is really low. So this is quite easy to pass. It does take about 3 weeks to 6 weeks, and you will need to send the certificate to an address where you are. Now, if you're coming for certain jobs like a care job, your agency can probably do it for you and they will receive the certificate on your behalf. However, if you're not in the care sector and you just want to do it on your own, you can do it. But the reason we state the amount of time it takes is just for if you're in temporary accommodation. So if you're in an Airbnb for 1 or 2 weeks and you send your DBS there, the chances are you might have moved out of that location before the certificates arrive. So just make sure you're sending them to an address where you'd be able to access your mail for a period of up to a month or 2, because sometimes there are backlogs and it can take up to 6 weeks. So that's the security sector. Like I said, there are so many opportunities in that sector. And yes, you should definitely be one that you do consider. It is really good for students because you will have shifts. You can do night shifts, day shifts around your studies. Even the big supermarkets, Tesco, Asda, they all need quite a lot of security. So it's such a wild field. It should not be discounted. It's not always as tough as it might sound. A lot of people think, oh, am I big enough to be security? You think you need that body of a bouncer. Honestly, it's nothing to do with that. A lot of the time, you're just watching what goes on, watching stuff on CCTV, and if something does go wrong, you're just reporting to the police. That's all you're there for. You're not there to carry out those sort of things. So whatever aspirations you might have about security, certainly give it a try. Even ladies, it's a field where not a lot of women look into, and there are quite a lot of opportunities, especially when you think of concierge, like we spoke about earlier. A lot of them really appreciate having women apply. So that's one. Another job which is just following on for ladies as well, and men. The UK is an equal rights society, so don't be discouraged by a type of job, but child minding. is one that comes to mind. It's very easy to get into child minding. Now, some of the checks are quite similar to those for security, in the sense that you will have to have your DBS checks, disclosure and barring service, to make sure there's no criminal records. I would say slightly more enhanced checks are done for child minding, because other things are checked as well, not just your name, but sexual assault, if you've ever been registered as having any sort of interaction, and even moving through the sector, if you ever have something where you're accused of sexual assault or anything along that vein, you will probably not be able to work in that sector. So it's taken very seriously. Obviously, you're dealing with little children, so they want to make sure they're safe and everything is protected. But for women who've just come, it's something to look into. There's certain certifications you also have to get. DBS, like I mentioned. You would also have to be registered with Ofsted. So depending on the ages of the children you're looking after, there are two different registrations. There's one for early years, like from babies up to 5, and there's one from children up to about from 5 to 8. So it just depends on what license you're going for, what age. If you do decide to start a child minding business, you will have to be registered as well as a business owner, register your income, all that sort of thing. But to start at the beginning, if you're only taking care of 1 or 2 children for people, you could start slow and small and then gradually build up to that level of turning it into a full-time business. So that's another good one you should be looking at. If you need any information on child minding courses, you can certainly send us a message and we can give you more information. Number 3 is food delivery jobs. Now, there has been an explosion in the food delivery markets in the UK in the last sort of 10 years. Historically, a lot of British people don't cook anyway due to time pressures with work, single people, students. There's a lot of differences in the culture compared to people coming from Nigeria, where you might cook every single day. Here, sometimes people cook once a week, and then sometimes they're tired, they just want to take away, they just want food from outside. So it is really common for people to order their food and it comes to them. Now, if you were looking at going into that sort of job, I would advise that you either know how to ride a bicycle, because that's probably your best way of getting around on an electric bicycle. Alternatively, you can learn how to ride a motorbike, which will also help you greatly. I have said in previous broadcasts, if you can't get an international driving license, make sure you do get one on your way in. And if you're not too sure of how to obtain this and you're coming from Nigeria, certainly contact our page, send us a DM on Instagram, and we'll be able to point you in the right direction. We'll help you with processing international driving licenses. So it'll be one that comes in handy. Say, for instance, you can ride a bike. Like me, I can't ride bicycles. My balance is all over the place. And then motorcycles are not really my thing in terms of safety. So you can do it with cars as well. You can get a little car on your arrival, and you could get into that. Now, we have some very big players in this field. We've got Deliveroo, we've got Just Eat, and we've got Uber Eats. Now, these are the bigger partners. You can also be attached to smaller just restaurants who need delivery service, but most restaurants use these 3 big brands to do their delivery. It's sort of integrated into their platforms, but some restaurants will still do it by themselves. So it's one where you don't need a lot of qualifications, you don't need too much know-how. These days, everything is a GPS. You've got your Google Maps, you can go anywhere, find any addresses, and you only need to do it for a week or 2 and you'd be in the flow of things, and it's quite easy to get into. There's always jobs for delivery guys. Also, another part of the delivery market that is exploding at the moment is delivering from the supermarkets as well. So sometimes people are not in the mood to go to the big shops and do their shopping, and they would order it on these apps as well. So people actually order from Tesco, Sainsbury's, Asda, from the big supermarkets, Morrison's, who have deals with delivery apps, and you'll be in there picking up foodstuffs for people and delivering to their home. So it's quite an interesting one to get into. The pay is quite decent, and I think you get bonuses for each delivery you make. So the more you do in a day, the more money you can make. Another brilliant one for students, you can It's kind of doing your own time. You log into the app once you're registered with one of the big apps, log in at the time you want to start, log out when you finish, and that sort of thing. So it's very flexible. You just need to be able to get into on one of the platforms. Okay, now another sector of delivery that is available, I tend to look at it as separate because it does have its own differences in compared to food delivery and the rest. Is parcel delivery. Now this is actually delivering parcels, packages to people at home. The biggest player in this field is Amazon, and what Amazon has is a partnership program. So you could have a UK license, become an Amazon driver with a van, and you get 150 packages to deliver in the daytime, which is more like a full-time job. But then there is another section of Amazon that's called Amazon Flex. Now you could just have your normal car, you register with them. Once they take you on board, go through all the checks they need to do. They probably will do a DBS for you, and Amazon do a drug and alcohol test as well. So just bear that in mind. At times they do that for their drivers. So yes, once you are on board with the Amazon Flex program, you'd go to depots where these big trucks go to as well, but you just go in your car. They might have 10 or 20 packages for you to deliver in your area. Like I said, it's very flexible as well. It's a really good one for students, and you get a lot of people here who, like moms who have dropped off their children at school in the daytime, they do a bit of Amazon Flex, go pick their children up from school. So it's a good in-between flexible job as well. It probably won't be full-time in the sense of doing it every day, but it's just one more thing to have up your sleeve. A lot of people, when they do food delivery and they do it with a car, they will also be registered with Amazon Flex to do those sort of deliveries as well. So that's another one for you there. Now, another sector that is rising is what we call the gig economy. And this is job apps where you can pick up a shift for a day. You don't have a fixed sort of contract or any sort of thing in place to say you work 20 hours or 40 hours, but you just pick up shifts as they come along. Now, there are 3 important apps to do for that one here in the UK. That will be Flex from Indeed, Couple, and Stint. These 3 apps enable you pick up shifts in restaurants, in bars, in hotels. They could be having a very busy day in a restaurant where they need a few more people to serve food, and you go on there, there's a shift near you, you just select that shift and you could go do 8 hours there. You normally get paid straight away into your account once you're registered on the app. Also, other sort of jobs in retail, shopping malls, that sort of thing, when they're short of staff, they could just sort of put their shifts out there. So it's a really important one to have in your toolbox as a new arrival to the UK. So those are 5 different types of jobs you can get into easily as a new arrival. I hope this video has been informative. Follow us on all platforms. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Soft Landings UK, on LinkedIn as well for more educational videos on your arrival into the UK. Thank you.